Hi, welcome to the Vaguely Anime Podcast. I am one of the hosts this evening, Michael, and I am joined by other host, Kat.
Hi.
And other host.
Changed the order.
I know,
Sage.
he did that the
I've
other
done
day
it before,
too.
yeah.
It's fine.
Because I'm literally editing the episode that I did it for the first time. You guys were like, whoa, what the fuck?
Yeah, keeping us on our toes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And welcome to our anime club for this show.
What? He didn't intro you.
Yeah, I did.
He did.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm stupid.
No, you started
You even
talking, and I
noticed
talked
it.
over you to introduce
okay,
her.
That's why.
Yeah. Anyway, welcome to our anime club. This is Kat's pick, so she could tell you about it.
Wait, but before Kat tells us about it, you said you liked this show.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
At two different times, while we were watching this, I messaged Kat asking, "So you liked this show?" And then like a day later, Sage messaged her being like, "So you like this show, right?"
Yes. I still stand by that.
Okay,
I
it's
still like
definitely an opinion that you have.
Sure is. Anyway, would you like to explain this show so we
What's
can get
there
on
to
to it?
explain? Nothing happens.
Well, it's 12 fucking episodes. I've seen way worse.
These
With
bitches
way
really
less
thought they were gonna
happen.
get a season 2.
Whatever.
So Kat,
So.
would you like to say what the show's name is and also
Yes.
explain it
Oh, yeah,
anyway?
we didn't even talk about what the show is. It's Chivalry of a Failed Knight. When did it come out?
2015.
It came out in 2015. Yeah, we looked that
came
up.
out in 2015. It's about this school where what the fuck are they called? I can't even.
Blazers.
Blazers, yes. What a name.
Sure are.
Where they basically have their own skill and enchantment that they can call upon a weapon, and then
It's like sword fighting, but throw in some magic too.
yeah, and it's about this kid Iki who's in the school, but his family. Is that spoilers? Am I allowed to say it? No, right? That's like the first.
No,
episode.
he's literally like, I think
They're-
when he's like the
they're
first
trying to
5 minutes
prevent
is him
him.
being like, I suck, but I will prevail.
Yeah.
Fun fact, I accidentally started with the second episode because you had started watching it, and I didn't realize it was the second episode.
So you were like, what the fuck?
No, actually, for a second there, I almost gave the show credit because I was like, wow, they don't bullshit you. They just throw you in.
right in.
And I was like, all right, I kind of dig this start. And then I was like, then the next episode started, and I was like,
This doesn't seem
Something
right.
feels
yeah, I was
off.
like, they're bringing up information that I definitely didn't see yet. And I was like, I started on the second episode.
How many times are you gonna do this?
I think that was the first, was it not?
No, I feel like you've talked
No,
about
that was
watching.
Colin,
Colin.
with
With Fruits Basket.
No,
yeah, he
but
started
you-
watching season 2.
That's so funny. You watched a movie instead of the first episode
Oh.
of Violet Evergarden.
Yeah.
And then I feel
Oh,
like you
yeah.
talked about
Sure
something
did.
else that you watched something instead of what you're supposed to start.
Well, funny enough, the show I'm picking for this week, I also technically is not the start of the shit series, but it doesn't really matter because they're all kind of like side story. They're all main stories, obviously, but
They're like tangential.
yeah, they're
to each other.
tangential. So like they interact sometimes, but when they do, it's not like you necessarily need that info. They kind of just fill you in a bit.
Sure.
And I started with the one I'm going to recommend, and I think that's fine.
Okay.
I also think it's more entertaining of a start than the other actual start. So.
We like entertaining.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I started with the second episode, and I almost gave the show credit. I was like, damn, they just they throw you in, and then they don't bullshit you. I was like, nice.
That's basically the show. I don't know. That's like a
Sure
general
is. Kid with
premise.
not great powers runs into girl with great powers,
Yes.
and they become
He-
friends
Wait, but
through
I don't
hijinks.
even
F rank, she's
understand
an
why
A
his
rank.
powers are not great. Like, so what does he have? He has like perfect vision and something else stupid that
So
I
we
can't
can go
remember.
into spoilers because I don't think you really paid attention.
there's-
but-
Okay, hey,
There's-
generically thought, I did not really enjoy the show. I thought it was kind of boring, generic, and
I feel
as
like-
far as ecchi goes, not great. Pretty low tier ecchi. Sage.
I didn't recommend this as an ecchi show.
You said
But
this
it
was
is.
ecchi light,
And
which
it is
I feel
not.
like it wasn't. I feel like it's a little closer to being ecchi. I will say primarily because of like boob shots, but not so much like you don't really get like panty shots.
I didn't go into this and say, "Hey guys, we're watching an ecchi show."
No,
You
but
looked
it is,
up
but
and
it
then
is an
had a
ecchi.
sub-character
And we said we were
category,
going
and
to
then you
give
said
you
it.
shit if it had bad titty.
It's true. We did say
It
this.
doesn't have bad
No,
titty.
yeah.
No, the titty is fine.
Yeah.
Titty's fine, but like everything about
feel like actually-
it's bad etchy.
Imagine
I will
it's
say
an
the
etchy
titty is
show.
mediocre. Like I've
It is.
seen
I
worse
It's
love
titty.
mediocre
Stella.
titty.
Yeah, I've
Good
seen
titty.
it. No, I don't know about good, but anyway.
So anyway, your general thoughts real quick.
General thought. This was definitely a show that I watched. That's
All
it.
right,
Okay.
sure.
And you like it.
I don't think it's amazing, but yeah, I like it.
Can I ask why? Like, what made you enjoy this show? Because I'm actually genuinely curious.
So this is one of the first shows that I watched, and so obviously I didn't know all of the
You didn't have anything to like
cliches.
compare it to.
Yeah, so it was just like a random thing that I was like, this sounds good. I thought Stella was cute from the front, and I was just like, sure, let
From
me
the
watch
front,
it.
but not the back.
Well, the front. Okay,
know.
whatever. It doesn't matter.
I know what you're saying.
And so I went into it. So obviously I hadn't seen a lot of shows. Like, yeah, it is generic. I think it is. There's no arguing.
Is it just like nostalgia glasses on, where you're like,
No, because I wouldn't. If you guys say you didn't like it, whatever. That's your opinion. I
Right.
enjoyed it. You guys, I will defend Future Diary. Like it's not that.
I will
So-
I will say Future Diary is definitely better than this.
Thank you. I'll take it.
I-
I'll take what I can get.
Like, I will definitely say I can understand saying that Future Diary is better than this show.
Yeah, it is.
Because at least
And I
Future
hate
Diary
that.
had like some amount of substance.
A lot happens in Future
and,
Diary.
And-
the fight scenes were actually at least good.
And in Future Diary, the story like progression makes sense.
Yeah, sure
Where I
does.
feel like in this show, when I was watching it, it would open up an episode with like, let's say a fight, and I was like, wait, did I fucking skip an episode? I'm so lost.
Yeah.
So then I would go back and be like, okay, let me just see what happened in like the last 5 minutes of the previous episode. See if I miss anything.
There's so many fights that happen in the show that I think they just
But they
don't
also
care.
skip
that
so
they're just-
many
Yeah,
of
but
the
then,
ones
like,
that are
yeah.
important.
When they're fight, okay, so
All
I
right,
think this is
can we
episode.
I don't think they had
Hold on.
budget,
Spoilers
to be
now.
honest.
Hold on. Hey, spoilers from here on out for people that are listening. And here's the graphic. Okay, you have your chance to leave. Go ahead.
Okay, so here's the thing. I think this is in episode 3 or 4 where Iki and Stella both get like phone notifications that they're fighting somebody from the student council, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, it's the student council!" Like, woo, right?
And then the student council-
but
That's
then
it.
the
That's nothing.
last shot of that episode is like shrouded in mystery student council reveal, right? And then like I think the line is something like, "Oh, now we're gonna show them like what the student council is really
And
about,"
then they had
which is kind of
nothing.
weird because they never mentioned them before. So I was
Nope,
like,
sure
"All
didn't.
right,
There always
that's
has
weird."
to be a student council.
I
Yeah,
mean,
but they
yes,
never mentioned them beforehand.
But it's weird that the line is like, we'll show them what the student council is really about when we have not seen these people ever once before,
Yeah.
right? So then you would think, okay, great, we're going to see like 2 really good battles, whatever. The next episode opens with them getting their asses kicked
For, like,
and the
30
end,
seconds.
Literally, it's the end of the fight, and then they're like, the announcers are like, "Oh, Iki and Stella won! Woohoo!" I was like, I literally was like, wait, did I miss something? I'm so lost. Also, the announcers, one of them, I can't remember her name. Every single time she was,
the lolly or the one that's just the regular student that keeps getting ditched.
I think it's the regular student. One of them though, every time she's announcing, she's talking like this. Literally zero emotion, no excitement. Could not give less shits about these fights. And I was like, damn,
This
bitch.
bitch was on your waifu list.
Yeah.
Which
Jesus
bitch?
Christ.
I like Stella.
Stella.
Oh, although I did really like the teacher that like vomits blood. I thought she was very
Yeah.
funny and I liked her.
Did
bit.
they ever explain that?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
I think it was
they
something
said-
like if she exerts too much enthusiasm.
I think they said she had like
Something
a
stupid
disease
like
or
that.
something.
They
They
the
said
weird.
something.
the-
They have a manga, right?
Light
find
novel.
Light no. Okay, I just feel
That would
like it's like
explain
a translation. Just they didn't have the time nor money to do certain
Yeah,
things.
I
and
feel like-
that's
but
why.
like they
Though I don't know. I,
I mean,
didn't read it.
who knows? But like, based on the anime itself, like, they skipped a bunch of fights that seemed like they were supposed to be important. You got the first fight of them in the tournament, and then I think you get like the second to last and the last.
Well, no,
I think,
you
and then you get some fights from that are like out of the tournament.
no, you don't even get fights I don't even think, are there even fights out of the tournament?
Oh no, because
The last fight we see
no,
is
the mall,
Iki
the
and the
mall,
president.
the mall,
Oh, yeah, the mall
and
one.
the
And
and
the
them in the
gang.
woods.
Oh, and them in the woods.
There's a fight with the gang. The guy.
Oh,
and-
yeah,
and
the
him.
sword fighting gang.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
that was eloquent.
I forgot.
Sword
They
fighting
also
gang.
they skipped over a bunch because he gets fucking thrown in that jail or whatever, and then they're just like, and then they just keep like montaging through the fights, but they're not really montages. They're just he won,
It's
she
just
won,
flashes
he won, she
of
won.
that. But you know what I thought was really funny during that like jail where he's like in prison for some reason? Literally, so the teacher brings in another student to fight. I was like, wait, why is this teacher associated with this jail? Never explained. And they even acknowledge each other. Iki's like, hey,
Yeah, she
bitch,
helps
what are
him.
you doing here? And she's like, Iki. And I'm like, okay, any explanation? No? Great.
She helps him.
Does she, though?
Yeah, she gives him
A note?
Yeah.
I think, yeah, that must be it. I think she gives him a note.
Yeah, and then just like, and the weird thing about the story too is none of the fights are actually good, like at
No.
all. They're
No.
choreographed horribly. They're not interesting, and they're very fucking basic as shit. Like his power of just he becomes better for a minute.
Yeah.
Is-
Oh, yeah. That's it.
is-
He gets real good at for 1 minute, and he has perfect vision.
Well, it's just
That's
like
it.
you know a fine power. Yeah, and the vision lets him copy people's abilities.
Oh yeah, and that's it.
But
as
like
well.
it or copy their
The
sword. Yeah, their sword.
When he
their sword
strikes
skills.
the sword absorbs their skill.
Yeah. And
That's
but
what it
like
was.
nothing about it is all that flashy, and that's fine if you have a character that doesn't have a flashy power, but he also doesn't use it in any
But
way
you
that
know
looks
why
interesting.
It didn't bother me because I'm not into fights.
Okay, but
never liked
everything
the
else
sport.
about it is
into
still
the
bad.
romance?
Not specifically the
So
romance.
what were
I
you
thought that
into?
there was
Because
cute.
that's like the main
The-
two things in
I-
the show:
I was-
fighting
I
and
was-
I
romance.
thought that the romance like is cute. Yes.
I will give the
Though
show the
I
one
wouldn't
credit
really-
that I think the romance is at least fine because there's actually a progression through the show,
Yeah, at
which
least
very
they
rarely
get
happens.
together.
But I wouldn't call it like a romance
I wouldn't
anime, so
either.
that's why I'm not saying, oh, you know, like I came here for the romance.
Can you pull up that message that you sent to Kieran about you were like, I like the show except for the incest, the fights, like you like listed off a bunch of things that you thought were awful about it.
Although, you know what I thought was
Yeah, I was
interesting
not a
is
fan of the
I feel
incest.
like the OP did not vibe with the show
no,
at all.
no, and the ending.
the ending
were
is
both
just like
so
generic,
skip, like-
edgy ending.
Yeah, they're both
No.
not good.
Yeah,
but
no.
the OP, I
agree.
felt like it is.
It is absolutely generic, etchy ending though.
Yeah.
Somebody watched American Beauty and went, yeah, that.
We could put that in our etchy anime. Hell yeah. But like swords.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the OP, it makes you feel like it's going to be like way more involved with like fighting. And it seems like the show would be like inherently more etchy with this all like black, white, and red scheme going on. And like all the blood and all this stuff. And then it's not that even a little bit. And I was like, that's a weird choice. Because they could have
can't
just
blame it.
done generic like fighting OP. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they did it. They did it like quite stylized, actually, which I think some of the, I will be honest, I do think for the most part this show looks like garbage, but there are a couple of
You
times
made us watch Handshakers.
I will actually
There are
say,
different levels of garbage
There
that
are
you can
different
still
levels.
say
My
things
bad.
look bad.
Yeah, I will say though.
Yes,
that
handshakers will pretty much always be the bottom tier, but things can
Handshakers
still
is
look like
why
trash.
did
Like,
the
it
show
looks
have
bad.
an active stroke? Whereas this show is like, hey, we have like $3 to make 12 episodes
I
of
really
anime.
didn't think that it looked that bad.
I will. No, well, I mean, each shot.
Like I didn't watch it and say, "Wow, this looks bad." I watched it.
I
and I
watched
was like,
it. I watched it when
yeah.
this looks generic.
Yeah, no,
like,
I will
like,
say,
was just
like-
that's a show. Cool.
I think for me, it's like the shots. Most of the shots are pretty like still and lifeless. Even like the fighting animation is like pretty okay. But there was a couple of shots that I remember thinking to myself, you know what? That's actually a good like way to visualize these powers. There's the one with the lightning president with her lightning powers, and she like destroys the rock guy. And the frame of the shot is like the regular black bars, but then it's like breaking with her power. Like that's the rock.
That part
right?
was cool.
That was a really good shot, and I was like, you know what? That's very clever.
that was all of their budget.
Yeah.
That was their whole budget.
I also
that
think
was
the
clever.
one shot with him like diving into the hair.
That
of
was a good
bullets
shot,
in the
except
mall.
Yeah.
right after that shot, you get the ridiculous, like eyes spinning around like crazy shot, which I literally bursted out loud laughing. And another good shot was when the little sister is fighting the president. and she's like trying to like figure out why she can't track her movements, and it's like the little sister's eye, and you see the president at a distance, and then it's like the president's face up close through the eye. I thought that was also kind of clever for that. For the but I think 3 good shots in 12 episodes is
not enough for you.
Also, this show really went in on just we're just going to have this incest be there and not give up on it. Like she shows up.
Not only did it not give up on it,
she shows up and it's like we're immediately kissing.
Her roommate was like heavily encouraging it.
Yeah, and then also I don't fuck with the incest. But
like it's not even like
they're way
like
too
subtle.
casual about
It's
it.
just she shows up and is like, anyway, so we're making out now.
Like at first, people protest. They're like, "Whoa, what are you doing? Like, no, you can't do that." And then I feel
and
like
then they're just cool with it.
yeah, like then I feel
Maybe
like
it's because
it's just,
Stella and him are already like together, so she doesn't feel as
The
pressured.
the guy
No.
the her roommate.
Alice.
Yeah, Alice. Because I think they identify as a woman, right?
I don't know.
I don't remember.
I think
They.
I don't know that they ever say
Al-
they
well, I'm just gonna stick
identify as
with
a woman. I
Alice.
think they're just very like feminine.
I thought they did.
I
Whatever.
thought they did
Yeah,
too.
Alice. Just stick to that. Like the entire time is every time she does something, she's like, "Honey, please stop." Like he's like not encouraging it, but not like discouraging it. He's like, just get over it. Like
Also,
they're already together.
I don't know if this is just me, but it feels very irresponsible for a high school to be like, yeah, we can have not only co-ed dorms, co-ed dorm rooms.
Yeah.
For sure.
All guys are with women.
Like that just seems
they're supposed to be gentlemen. It's cool.
Yeah. Sure.
gentleman my fucking ass.
Literally
Also-
called failed
also-
night.
wait,
Chivalry of a failed night. He
hold on.
failed chivalry class.
Hold on, not even.
He wasn't allowed to take chivalry
Wait,
class.
hold on. It's not even
You
like
think he's gonna listen to
supposed to be
those?
because I think he actually Iki. I think is a perfect
Yeah.
gentleman basically the whole time. This bitch Stella is so thirsty for
Oh,
dick.
she's
It is
so
ridiculous.
thirsty.
She
I'm like,
literally jumps into his bed in the second episode, and she's like
Yeah,
feeling
and
up
she's
his
feeling
back
his
or
back,
whatever,
feeling
and
his
then
chest.
comes
She's
from feeling up her
literally,
back.
But she was like,
Coming
he
from
looked
feeling his
at
chest.
me. This is fair because he looked at
Yeah,
me.
and then they have that like.
And then she gets off by just feeling
Yeah,
his
and
back.
He's way too casual with everything. His sister makes out
He's
with him.
so chill.
Nothing.
I
She's on
literally-
fucking top of him. Nothing. Like
I was like, I don't know if you just have like the most excellent self-control any young man has ever had, or you are actually asexual and you do not give a
See,
single
I was gonna
shit.
say asexual representation, but no, he does
Like
sometimes.
he has
he's
like
like, yeah, I'm
emotional
down.
feelings for her, but like I don't know that he's like trying to fuck.
Nah, he was absolutely
Or
trying to fuck in
maybe-
that cabin, and then he was like, nah, I can't do that now.
I think he's just so much of like a we'll fuck when we're married vibe. He's like, I'm too much of a gentleman to
Yes.
deflower
What was
you.
the
True
reason?
gentleman.
What was the reason they didn't bang in the cabin?
Was he like, this feels like a dishonest way to do this?
I don't remember.
Something like that.
yeah.
I just remember I thought it was kind of stupid.
It was something about honor, and he was just too nice.
Yeah.
And she
something
was like, I'm thirsty though, and he's like, yes, be parched. I don't know.
that. Be parched.
Just like that.
Just like that. Those are the direct quote.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they decide to walk up that fucking mountain. They keep going for some reason after a while, and then she gets fucking pneumonia or some shit.
Yeah.
And then they luckily find a random ass cabin, and they're like, "All right, strip down so you don't get sick
But
more."
weren't they like on a school field trip, or it was just for the
No.
two of them?
They were on they were sent to that resort
like, relax.
originally as the two of them, but then it was really to help the student council clean up that fucking building.
Gotcha.
And then after they helped with that, like, because it was supposed to be their vacation, basically, they were
Right.
like, all right, cool, we did all our shit today. We're going to go do the thing we were originally going to do, which is walk up that mountain. And they're like, you know, that shit's like fucking 30 miles away both ways, right? And they're like, that's fine.
We're pro athletes out
Good
here.
choices.
Yeah. And then everything goes horribly wrong.
Yeah.
As it does.
Yeah, as one does. But I also think she was sick before they even went to that mountain, though.
Oh, also I have a I don't know if you would have the answer for this, but I don't know if this is a like translation thing. But so you know how like in the beginning they're like, oh, he's the worst student, right? The worst one.
Yeah.
But then as he's getting better, they just call him another one,
They sure
Yeah,
do.
which
They
I
just
thought
call
was
him-
very
Yes.
strange. And I'm like, that must
They
be
also
a
fuck it
translation.
up.
think
They also
so.
fuck it up later because they
But-
stop calling. They're like, he's no longer the worst one. He's just another one. And then like 2 episodes later, they go to introduce him again, and they go back to the worst one, and then the next episode, they're like, he's no longer the worst one.
I don't think I noticed
And
that.
I was like,
Also,
all right.
I don't know if you noticed this, but again, I don't know if this is a translation thing or just the dubbing or what happened.
I will say that this is dubbed by High Dive, so it's,
Is it? I didn't know that,
it's
actually.
not as good as
Right, I was going to say,
would
it's not like
yeah.
Funimation dubbing.
Yeah, because all of them are. I mean, I didn't think it was that bad in. Is it wrong to pick up girls in a dungeon? But all of the fucking voice actors are in this, and Eminence and Shadow is them too. So I'm just like it's bad with like Crunchyroll and Funimation that all of their actors are the same. But High Dive has an even smaller pool.
Collective to pick
yeah,
from.
so it's like even more that the whole. When I was rewatching it, because obviously I when I first watched it, I didn't know anybody. I was just like, oh, that's this person, but it's only from 2 shows that I'm like, it's this exact person from
That's
this.
so funny.
But I would say that that's probably why there's like translation errors or it doesn't sound like as good just because of who's doing it.
I'll be honest, I was not going. I could tell basically right away. I was like, I am not going into this expecting like high quality dubbing because the show itself is pretty mid in quality in terms of like animation. So I was like, you're not gonna put like the world's best dub on this show. That's just a waste, especially because the dialogue is pretty like stilted and like not very natural and fluid, but whatever.
Also,
I didn't finish my point about earlier. Sorry. Sometimes they would call the characters by, I don't know if it was like nicknames that was like that would be like in the Japanese version, but it wasn't like established in the dub. So they would just be calling them different names, but you knew, like, okay, let's say Iki, right? And then out of nowhere in like episode 5, they call him by a different name and it wasn't his last name. And I'm like,
I don't think I noticed.
where the fuck did that name come from? I'm so confused. And it would just fly by too. It's not like they made any note of it.
Yeah.
And they would only do it like a couple of times, so it didn't feel intentional. And I was like, is that just like an error
Maybe
in like
they didn't have the budget to pay the actor to come back.
you know what I mean? I'm like,
redo
I
it.
literally was sitting there being like, is this just an error in like the recording or something?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't feel like that's what that was meant to be. You know what I mean? It's very jarring.
I don't think
and it
I
happened a
noticed
couple of
it.
times. I think I noticed it only because I heard it once, thought it was weird, but didn't pay it too much attention. And then I heard it again like a couple episodes later, and I was like, that doesn't
Do
seem
you remember
right.
like when any of them are?
I
'Cause I'm
don't
curious
really remember when, because I'll be honest, when I was watching this show, I think from episode 1 to episode 12, I was fairly inebriated to get through it. And I was watching like 2-3 episode chunks per day because it was brutal. But I watched the first 3 episodes with Mark, and he's literally sitting on the couch being like, what the fuck are we watching? And then like episode 2 started with the little sister. He's like, why are you watching this show?
I did forget how soon that happened.
It's immediate.
Yeah.
Literally, that's what that was one of the other things. That's why I was like, I watched the second episode first, and I was like, wow, they're just going into this.
Honestly, I don't know why I stuck with this show, since this was
I was
one
gonna
of the
say, I feel like
first
this is
shows
something
I
you
watched.
wouldn't like be
I
into.
know.
And yet you
I
still
think
like
it might
it.
have been right after I watched Darling in the Franxx, so it wasn't like, because there's some things that happen in that I
But the
remember thinking,
opening-
what the fuck is
But
going
the
on?
opening of Darling and the Franxx is so excellent. I understand if you're coming off the tailcoats of Darling and the Franxx and you're like, yeah, that was pretty shit.
Yeah, but both of us didn't really mind the ending all that much.
I mean, I just think compared to the first 12 episodes, it doesn't.
Yes.
Oh yeah, it's
Yes,
definitely
yes, yes,
worse.
yes.
You know
but
what I
like,
mean?
it's also just like because I
Yeah.
remember watching. I think we were watching at the same time because we were talking to Colin about it. I thought.
No, you watched it later than I
Oh,
did.
okay. Because I just remember us like both
I
of us
just
being like,
watched it
it's fine.
One random day in the middle of the night, I just binged it
okay.
all. So
But I will say one thing that really fucking annoyed me constantly, because it happens every goddamn time there's like an arena fight, is they would introduce the person and they'd be like, fucking Iki, like 11 times undefeated or whatever, and you're like, motherfucker,
the
you no, it's like
Oh.
motherfucker, they have to be undefeated to be here. They can't lose or they're not here.
That's
that's
true.
true.
And
That's
every
true. I didn't
time
think about
they were
that.
like 22 times undefeated, and then the next person 22 times undefeated. It's like no shit. You have
But-
to be undefeated to be here. Why do you
Yeah,
keep
because
saying
once you
they're on
lose,
a,
you get kicked out.
yeah, and every time they're like
But
they're on an
did they go-
undefeated streak, and
Did
you're like,
they go into enough detail to know that there isn't brackets where they can make it back in? I mean, most
no.
tournaments
If
there
you
are.
no,
I
they said
think
if you lose,
They,
you're
yeah,
out.
Oh, okay.
They say, I think in the first episode, he's like, if you don't win, you can't continue.
Yeah. If you lose, you are out. Yet every single time they introduced anybody, anytime there was an arena fight, they had to say that they were undefeated.
I mean,
which is
it's not wrong.
but it's
they
stupid.
Are yeah, but like
they
I guess
have to be undefeated
I
to
guess
be there.
they could have said 22 wins, but that's also the same thing as undefeated.
Well,
I don't know.
I think
I don't think that's really a big thing.
I think
But
that-
they were touting the undefeated like it was some impressive
There
feat.
was
I
too
think
much
wins
I can't think
would
of
have
the
made
word
more
is.
sense because if you think about it, like obviously you have to win to continue, but the number, right, like 11, 22, whatever, because it jumps around so much and like you don't know how many fights have actually happened because they're not showing you every single round. It's just a good benchmark of like, oh, okay, he's done like 3 more fights since we last saw him fight or whatever.
Yeah.
So like that makes sense to do it like that. I will agree that the undefeated part doesn't really make that much
It's
sense.
also like you guys are so picky. When I watched this, like I was not noticing.
Well, I
this shit.
wasn't.
It was
I
not-
didn't know. Like, if I knew,
I wasn't really
if you
going
were-
into it
if
to
you
like
went into-
it fucking dissect it. It was just things
I
I
don't
noticed
know,
that
you
were
guys-
bothering
no,
the
if
shit out
you
of me.
dissect-
if you were like, hey, just turn off your brain and don't really like think about anything critically.
But I didn't.
No, but
I
I
had
would
watched
also
it
I'm
almost
not-
3
but-
years
but I'm
ago
also
before
not-
I recommended
I'm also
it.
not
So I
gonna
didn't
do
know,
that.
That's true.
Like say that.
But I'm also not going to do that for Anime Club. Like, we
Right.
have to have
I guess
objective
that's,
opinions.
I guess that's true. You
yeah,
do
like we
have to have
have
things to
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
That's fair. Keep.
Because like, if we were just
Doing
having
that,
a
I
regular
guess.
discussion, I would be like, Kat, I don't know you like this. It's crap, and then that would be the end. Of
Yeah,
it. You know what
just
I
think,
mean?
I didn't like this. All right,
Right.
like moving on.
Sometimes I feel like I've come in and just been like, no,
You have.
no thoughts.
There are many.
Just
There
anger.
are many times in Anime Club where you are just sitting there silent for a majority of the episode.
I like to be an
Until I get
educated
triggered by one
hater.
thing and I start yelling. I'm like, oh yeah, that bothered me.
I like to think of myself as an educated hater. I very, very rarely will hate on something
The
that
only
I don't
thing
like,
I was
know
an
about.
educated hater was for fucking handshakers because I wrote notes.
Yeah,
I
no,
fucking
that's
wrote notes
fair.
about that.
Like, I'm an educated
we also, I think,
hater
said to
for.
because we were like when you
yeah.
recommended it, we were like, all right, we need to like
Oh,
be more
yeah.
eloquent than just this show sucks. So everybody try to take notes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I think I'm a very in-depth educated hater about Evangelion because I ended up taking 20 pages of notes when I watched that
fucking
show.
hate that show.
just for fun, you wrote notes.
Yeah, and then I made a presentation as to why it was bad.
Well, it's like
Oh.
Eamon, who vehemently hates that show, but he can explain anything that was happening in it at any point. I was actively messaging him while watching it to understand what the fuck was happening. It actually made me like the show more than I would have probably normally.
Although I will be honest, I did look at my notes recently, and I was like, you know what? I at first I thought I was being too harsh on it, but then because I did a good and bad, pros and cons, trying to be very like even about it.
Uh-huh.
I had, I think, like maybe 5 pages of pros, but then I had like 15 pages of cons.
Oh my god.
But like I don't know. That was one thing that like the undefeated thing just kind of bothered me. Like it's kind of a nitpick.
Didn't even.
Yeah, it is kind
No,
of a nitpick.
I
Crossed my
agree though.
mind.
It was a little strange.
It's just that like every time they introduced somebody, they consistently reminded you that they are undefeated.
I don't know.
And
When
they
I watched
have
it,
to be there.
when I watched it, they said the number. I'm like, wow, look at those. Like it did not cross my mind.
Also, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but I would say about 90% of especially Iki's line delivery was said with so little emotion.
yeah, I didn't.
And
really
it was
like Iki's
so
voice.
flat that I was like, my guy, have one feeling about something.
It's almost like sometimes I felt like he was like whispering in my ear.
Right, like
I
it had
did-
like
yeah.
a very strange like
No,
vibe
I
to it.
definitely agree.
And like sometimes other characters were like that, where the delivery was a little flat, but like at least they had scenes where like they were emoting and you could understand like what they were trying to bring off, even if it didn't like
Yeah.
land. But most of Iki's lines, I was like,
But I don't know if it was like intentional when they were casting, because Stella is like so emotional almost all of the time.
But I felt
to like balance. You
but
know?
I mean, in the terms of like, you would see like that fight they have when she's like, oh, it's been 2 weeks and you haven't even kissed me or anything, or blah blah blah, right? So at the beginning of that fight, like, you can see on his face, right, he's having a reaction, but he's still talking like literally nothing's happened.
Yeah, I guess.
It's very bizarre, and it's not till the very peak of that fight where he changes the cadence a little bit, and then it comes right back to like, you know, middle ground.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's just
But
little
that
weird.
I don't know. That could also just be the director.
Yeah, I didn't know what it was, but it did feel a little off, because I was like, there were certain parts where I think if that was a little more elevated, the show as a whole would feel a little better in its delivery. But because it's like, for the most part, medium execution of animation with medium execution of voice acting.
The person that did voiced him does quite a lot of the apathetic characters.
So maybe he's just like stuck in that. So Iki doesn't feel apathetic. Like, he seems very passionate.
Yeah, but you know that like that character was just
I know exactly
the kind
what
of uninterested character.
Yeah.
Basically, most of those were.
His voice when he's explaining things in his head.
Yeah, his like internal monologue.
I feel like is very fitting. Like, I thought that's a good job, and I just feel like he just didn't do anything different when he was speaking. Like, there was, when I was rewatching, I was rewatching during work because I was like, well, I've seen it, so like I don't have to
hyper focus on it.
I do have to admit, when I was in the middle of like an email I needed to get through, I didn't know if he was still speaking in his mind or if he was speaking to someone, which I feel like wasn't great. And I did remember like thinking that specifically. So I would have also appreciated if like they did something different than that. Like,
I also don't know if some of the background characters were all voiced by the same people.
I think that they were.
Right? Like, a lot of them sounded either very similar or like exactly the same.
Someone would talk and I would think that it was someone from Don Machi, and then I would be like, oh no, but they're playing this character, so it's probably not. But it honestly,
some of the voices were either very similar or it was just the same person, where like you were saying, High Dive has like a very much smaller collective of people to pick from.
I don't know if it's technically High Dive that did it. High Dive might have just bought it and then it was done by somebody, but it is like a cast that they like have. So I don't know.
I don't know. I can see if I can find that. But
I was gonna say, see if we can look up that like casting studio or whatever it would be. There was something else I was going to mention, and I can't remember what it is now.
Stella is the voice of Ochako.
Really?
Yes, and she is like the only one that's like, she's both. I don't know how, like, she's the one who has a contract with
Funimation and
yeah, so does Greg Arias. I think he was in Free. I don't know if you watched it in sub or dub.
I think I watched it in dub.
If you watch it in dub,
I don't remember.
What's the small one's name? I can't remember.
The blonde one?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
He was his voice actor if you watched it.
Yeah.
He's in both because I'm watching Eminence in Shadow and he plays one of the friends, so I realized that they're
I can't imagine that you wouldn't be able to have like
But there's not that many of them.
Crossover contracts.
Is why
well, I feel like
I'm
it kind of because I think isn't High Dive a much smaller streaming service?
Yeah, it
and
is.
Like streaming
also
company?
When I was at Anime New York City or Comic-Con, they had a booth and they were trying their best to get people to come in and have people sign up.
I remember I think this was 2015, maybe 2014 when High Dive actually first came out, and they were trying to really advertise themselves at anime conventions to be like,
they're still trying.
I know, but they had a very large push when they first dropped. And at this point, Crunchyroll and Funimation had already been around for like at least 10 years, and they were much more established here in the West.
Yeah.
And it's weird, is I feel like High Dive has very odd licensing choices. But is that just like what they can get their hands on?
I guess, because I think it's if somebody doesn't want it, so they grab it. I honestly don't know, because in the because I didn't know what Eminence and Shadow was, but Ryan had wanted to go check it out. So he was like, we have to go to the high dive booth. And I was like, well, I don't even know. So he was there trying to get, excuse me, like a poster, or they were giving out free manga. Like, I don't know what they were doing. But I remember standing outside of it because it was just crowded in their like little box that they had that I just didn't want to be in there. But they had posters on the outside of like stuff they had. And I'm like, this is so fucking random. Like, what is that? I think they have that show with the lolly and the sword reincarnated as a sword. I think that might be one of their shows. I don't know. It's very random. I did also think that it was random.
Because also, this is not a nitpick about the show. This is a nitpick about High Dive's app. Mm-hmm. So I put it on my TV to watch it on TV. So I downloaded the app for my television.
Yeah.
Instead, when you go to the search bar, instead of having like letters like this, right, like a keyboard, all of them are straight across.
Really? So you just have to.
It is
awful.
God.
I didn't know that because I just have it on my phone.
And
so
I had, and every time you go on, you have to re-log in.
That might be just
on the TV app.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. And I was like, this is actual suffering.
Do you have enough TV that you can cast it to your TV?
I could do it from the phone and cast it to my TV, but I find sometimes the like casting conversion rate, if that makes sense, like going from the phone to the TV, it gets a little weird sometimes, either between like the audio and the visuals, or it's just a little like choppy. So I rather, if I can get it directly on the TV, I would rather do that because it's just a little more seamless that way.
Yeah.
So Sentai Filmworks did it. Which is they're just a dubbing agency. But Christopher Ayers was the ADR director for that, and if you guys don't know who that is, for one of the legendary roles he did, which was the voice of Frieza, when he passed 2 years ago. But very famous, very charitable and nice man. So he did the ADR for this, or the ADR director for it. But Sentai Filmworks did it. Which means most likely it was just whoever was available. It was just casting calls.
That's what I was going to say.
So.
Yeah.
Because Sentai Filmworks is also kind of small too, right?
Yeah, but I think Sentai Filmworks is pure. Like, it's not like... Because I think technically, even if you're working for Funimation, you can still dub other official stuff.
Right.
So it's just... Hey, casting call, come.
That's what I was saying. I don't think you're stuck to like an exclusive contract unless you're like, let's say you're
or
like,
people are already busy with other shows because they have the contracts
so.
with Crunchyroll / Funimation that they're
was
doing
gonna say,
50 different things.
In all of these shows that I've seen, they don't really have that much crossover. That's why I thought it was like a contract thing.
It could also just be that like they have these people that usually are free and have said yes in the past and know that they do good enough work that they're just like, hey, we have this role. Do you want to read for it?
Yeah, I guess so.
Because a lot of times, once you're in, they just kind of go back to people, which is why it's nice to be in the voiceover industry, but also very hard to get into the voiceover industry.
Yeah.
But yeah, so apparently Sentai Filmworks did it.
Neato.
Yeah, I'm trying to like think. I remember that there was a lot of times that I feel like the story also just kind of like jumped around.
Yeah,
where,
did
like,
you feel like the little like 3-episode arc with the girl whose like father got like dissed in a sword fight?
Forgot about that. Yeah.
It felt weirdly out of place, and I was like, "This is a." And at first, when they're introducing the girl, right, like she's shy or whatever, and I'm like, "Okay, I get
behind
it."
the tree.
Yeah. Which I kind of thought that was like a cute little gag, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, "Okay, you're I thought it was weird that at first it seems like they're going to introduce her as another love interest, but I'm like, he's already dating Stella at that point, right? So I was like,
yeah, but he's got to feel up her thigh and like
he
actual
does very
ass.
erotic, like a thigh feeling.
He's basically like putting his hand right up in the crest, the crevice between the two.
And I was like, I don't understand the purpose of this, but all right.
Are you okay with this? Yes, if it'll make me better. All right. And he's just doing it, and she's fucking like getting off, and Stella and his sister are like, oh my god.
He's like a literal breath away from finger banging. It's a lot. But yeah, so they introduce her, and you're like, okay, this is kind of weird that you're introducing another love interest or whatever, but sure. And then it comes to like them fighting, and she's like, nah, now I'm evil, bitch. And I was like, this is so out of left field. I don't get what's happening.
I did appreciate her absolutely fucking him over through smarts.
Yeah.
That she was like, anyway, I'm gonna hurl myself off this building, and so
Bye.
then he has to use his power to. I was like,
Yeah.
all right, I'll give you that. That was at least inventive because she's
It
like,
was
I knew I
smart.
couldn't beat you, so
Yeah.
I was like, all right, I'll give you the props there.
Yeah, she's like, I had to get your God mode turned off for,
She
our
still
fight.
lost
Yeah.
She did still lose.
because she's a bitch and also cheated.
Yeah.
She literally also still had to cheat
I also
even
like-
after cheating.
I love that where
Double
he's
cheating.
like,
Yeah.
she must have preemptively done this, right? And then they're talking about, like, the announcers are like, if she preemptively did this, that means she cheated. And I was like, wow, you just explained that 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
Thanks.
They literally had, he thought it, she
She
said
said
it,
it.
Yeah,
and then
and
the announcer said it, and you're like, I got it.
Which is weird. I
In
feel
case
like
you missed it.
I feel like a lot of times they do these like weird stalling things, which seems
It's almost like they didn't have enough time and had too much time.
yeah,
at the
like
same
it's so strange. I'm like,
thing.
you choose to just cut out very
I
random
think it's
parts.
because they wanted to cut the episodes how they did, but then there wasn't enough for an episode, so they kind of that's
Right.
what I
But
thought. At least
it feels like the story is doing way too much, like trying to balance too many elements, but is also doing nothing at the same time. And it's just this.
I think they're just trying to fit it.
Yeah, I
all
think like
into
the
the 12
I don't know if it was
episodes.
something about like because I obviously haven't read the light novels, but maybe like
I would assume in a light novel they explain every single fight, but maybe they don't. Who
right,
knows?
like I would assume in the light novel where they end the anime must be like, okay, this is the end of an arc, right? And they're trying to end it within that time constraint, but also they thought maybe there's too much material here,
Yeah.
so let's cut some of it down. But then at the same time, like there's a very weird imbalance I feel like between like their relationship and the fighting, and then you're trying to also juggle like secondary characters who do very little to service the plot.
yeah.
And I'm like the whole 3-episode thing with the girl's dad. I was like, you just wasted so much time for no reason, and you introduce this like nothing villain that we don't even see again.
Yeah.
After that, he's just
mean,
gone. Like
He's
I'm
supposed to be one of the 8 or whatever. In
yeah,
that final
something like.
tournament.
But we obviously don't see that. Also, when the little sister is fighting the president, and it's like I think it's right before the fight, and they're like, "Oh, but she has water powers, and the president has electric powers, so like the water is her greatest enemy, right? Like that's her biggest opponent." And they're like, "No, she can make the most pure water that does not conduct electricity." And I was like, "This is so stupid."
The stupidest part about that, right, is that we never saw a point when she went up against a water person to like obviously. Intuitively, water or electricity, you're like, okay, cool, water's gonna lose. Intuitively, like you kind of understand that, but they bring it up and then immediately squash it down, where they're like, nah, she has pure water, so it don't fucking matter. And you're like, well then.
Why
even bring it up? Like we have
I think
because I don't think they brought up
I
any
feel
other
like they
time that there
brought
were
it
type
up
disadvantages. I don't think they ever brought that up ever.
I think they're trying to just explain it. I think they were just trying to be obvious about
Right.
explaining it because
But they
if
never
you,
brought
if
it up
you just
before
went
that.
into the fight and she like electric wasn't doing anything, you'd be like, I don't understand. I think it was just to like
The
explain
electricity
that.
fucking destroyed the rock monsters. Clearly, type disadvantages didn't
Right.
really
But
matter.
You also have to be a better blazer.
Oh yeah,
She was the best water blazer they have.
I meant to say this at the opening. When I watched episode 1, I knew basically from the first sentence I could not take this show seriously because it opens with something like, our sword classmen are called blazers. And I was like, nope, I am fucking out of here.
Also, the dad just being a dick for no actual reason.
yeah, what the fuck?
Like,
I was
I'm pretty sure that the daughter like questions him about it too, right? And he's like, because I am an asshole. Like it gives like he didn't really give
that was
a reason.
literally the explanation.
They didn't give a reason besides he's just a dick.
Yeah.
Like that's really all they did. And like it's just this like there's weird things that they decide to explain and then not to explain. And
I guess so.
it-
Like I didn't think about any of this shit when I was watching, but I'm not disagreeing.
You're
with
like,
anything
that did
I
happen.
was just like, I did watch that happen.
she's absolutely being like, that sure did happen and that is
I-
dumb.
I
but
still
it's
like
still a
the
good
show.
show.
I think if you are like literally zero brain power and watch this, it could be enjoyable.
All of my brain power was going to work.
Right.
So I had no brain
so
power
like,
for show.
if you think about this show, like even a little bit, like you're saying, like you can't disagree that those things
no,
happen.
they
absolutely
absolutely happen. There's a couple things I could be like, well, maybe it's because of this, but for the most part,
yeah.
like,
But like,
yeah,
I think
that sure
if you
did
really
happen.
want to just turn off your brain and like have a good time and like, ooh yeah, flashing lights, you
Yeah.
know. That's
Also, he
fine.
was still F rank after being fucking
wait,
55-time
I had-
undefeated
But
champion.
The
How
F
do
rank
you-
thing was because of his family. That they like rigged the system. That's
So
why.
he
Because
can- but
Stella
then
was like,
the
why
whole
is
point
he,
about him graduating? He had
Yeah.
to win the like overall
Right, but
tournament
like
to
he doesn't
graduate?
rank up as
Yeah.
he goes.
No. They literally did it to fuck him over
So
so
basically-
he couldn't graduate. The only reason was because if he won, that he would be able to. Because
Right,
his
but the
family
problem
was
with that is
preventing him.
immediately, once everybody saw that he could destroy that first guy.
Because doesn't he beat Stella in the first
Yeah,
fight?
he does.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole reason why she is like, what the fuck?
She's
why
like, I
is
want
he?
your dick.
Because
true.
because she
why-
has to be his servant.
Yeah, why she's like, why is it F? But he was too much of a gentleman to even accept.
I
She threw
forgot.
herself.
I forgot about this whole servant shit.
Yeah, because he
Yeah.
was supposed to be the servant to her. 'Cause she was the preppy
Because-
bitch,
right,
stuck-up
because-
rich
hold
girl.
on, but hold
He
on,
was supposed
hold
to
on.
be F rank. So
This
she's like,
whole
easy.
servant thing,
Uh-huh.
I felt like they committed to the bit not enough, personally.
Not enough.
Because
I thought they committed.
every once in a while, like let's
Now,
say
she
like
would bring it up, but then he'd
Yeah,
be like, I
no,
don't want
it
this.
felt like every other episode she would bring it up, and I literally
she would use it as
forg-
leverage.
I would
be like,
forg-
I'm his dog.
I would forget that she's supposed to be a servant, but like she literally never does anything for him. So I was like,
she just
you're
wanted it to
you're
be
a
like to the
shit-ass
sister to
servant.
be like, no. This
If I was Iki, I'd be like, you're a terrible dog. Get the fuck out of my
Just
room.
the idea,
Sleep in
the
the
idea of
hallway.
her leverage being like his sister being like, yeah, but I want to bang him, and her being like, I'm his dog. Excuse you, I'm here first.
but I actually really did like when the sister was holding his hand. And then Stella was like, oh, well, I should hold his hand. And she's like, excuse me, do you think that is appropriate for a servant?
Yeah, that was
to
funny.
hold your master's hand? Like, it's like she fucking owned her. Like,
Yeah, that was very.
I thought that was
a good
funny.
little line there.
Yeah.
I will say, like every once in a while, I think this show does something clever or funny.
Yeah.
But it's so few and far between that I can't be like the overall show is good. You know what I mean?
I guess. But again, I don't like fighting, so I was never nitpicking about how
Like
they
the
would
fights?
speed past a fight and just be like, "Oh, they won." I'd be like, "Cool, sounds good."
You're like, yeah,
or
whatever.
like how the student council, like the first fight that they did with the running bitch, like how that was just she's like, "Oh, I got you," and then she didn't, and then that was
Right.
it.
The
I was just
student council, and they're dead.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
like that didn't really bother me because I didn't care too much to even see the fight in the first
But you
place.
know what's so weird? So we see the student council later, obviously, after like Iki and Stella beat them, and they're still such like nothing characters, minus
Yeah.
the president.
They didn't commit to
They-
like
and
the
it's
student
so
council.
weird because they do that like
They're all just
Very-
absolute stereotypical archetypes.
Yeah.
and it's weird because they do that thing where it's like, oh, the student council, so you know they're big and bad or whatever, right? So you think they would go more into it, and you think, okay, the student council has XYZ power levels, and they need to overcome that.
Yeah.
And then they just
Don't.
They have such easy tropes that they set up and then don't follow through with. It's
Yeah.
very strange. That I'm like, you have such easy guidelines here, and you're even setting up the guideline.
They're just not-
Why don't you just use it? Like
They're just
it would
not
make your
committing
life
to it. I
easier.
don't know.
There was, I would say, like 2 fights that actually looked like anybody maybe struggled, which
Yeah.
was the president and the sister,
Right.
and the president and Iki.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was it. Like every other time they showed a fight, like yeah, technically Iki's first fight with the fucking bow and arrow dude or whatever
Yeah,
was
he
like
struggled in
a
that
struggle, but like he kind of already had it all figured out to begin with. He was
Wait,
just
which
like
fight was
But
that
I
with
thought
the
it was
bow and
cute,
arrow?
that was the
dude,
first one.
Where the guy's invisible.
He was like,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
I thought
yeah.
that was cute for the relationship progressing.
Where
Sure.
she's like cheering him on.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
No, she should just fucking start screaming.
Yeah.
she is straight up
She was
like,
the only one that was cheering for him.
"Dumbass!" Just
Yes. Oh,
over
I
all
will.
of it.
I will say. I at first I was very much like Stella starts off as like think about like most bottom of the barrel, most generic like tsundere, like literally does this in the first episode. kind of tsundere character where I was like, if we're gonna continue like this for the next 11 episodes, I'm gonna have to bail. I will say, thank God she gets a little bit better once they start dating.
Yeah.
But also, the first like 2 episodes where she's like that, and it's very weird because it doesn't feel like a consistent character trait.
Yeah, no, it's very fast.
It's so jarring.
It's because she's thirsty. Like,
But,
it's purely because
When
She
she's
got off to
thirsty.
rubbing his back and went, I want more of this.
No, wasn't it his stomach?
Yeah,
Who-
it was
who
the
knows?
back and then his stomach.
Sure. She got off to just
His
touching
abs.
him.
Yeah.
She went and she was touching that man, came and went, I want more of that.
Yeah, that was it.
That was all she needed. She just needed to get off once in her life and realized, you know what? That's more fun than not doing it.
But yeah, like, but even when she was being the tsundere, like, it was so jarring because it was so, like, she would be acting completely normal, right? It's not like she's constantly, like, grumpy or, like, making offhanded comments. It would just be, like, sudden outbursts. I'm like, girl, chill the fuck out. Nothing happened.
Have you watched Toradora?
Yes.
Did you like Toradora?
No.
Okay.
Well, the overall show was fine, but I don't like Taiga.
I was going to say, because it seems like you like the tsunderes, and that's like the quintessential tsundere.
No.
Fucking hated that show.
No. He should have been with, what's her name?
The redhead.
Minori?
Sure.
Is that show? I
Yeah,
think.
the redhead.
No. No, it's
You want the blue hair girl?
no.
Oh.
Her name. It's something. I think
I don't
it's something
remember.
else.
The redhead was the right choice,
Yes, she was the right choice.
though. I don't know why people like that show. Anyway, whatever. We don't need. Have you not seen Toradora?
I've only seen
You
it
could
in,
go your
like,
whole life without it.
really?
It is. It is
Alright,
the
then I'm
only
not
reason.
gonna watch it.
The only reason both of us watched it is because everybody fucking
Yeah,
talks about that
everybody
show.
talks. We've talked about this on the show
Yeah.
of just like I don't understand why everybody like fucking sucks its dick saying this is the best anime, the best romance anime that
Yeah.
they've ever
It is.
seen.
It is usually said as that.
That it's literally peak and the writing, the characters.
Okay,
blah,
so
blah, blah.
here's the thing. I need to watch it so I can be an educated hater. I don't
Go
want to be
ahead.
an
We can have an
uneducated
episode
hater.
where we talk about
if you
it.
watch it, we'll have an episode we can talk about
Yeah.
it. It won't
Great.
be an anime club because it's. I don't
Right.
want to
Because we've
devote
seen
an
it
entire.
already,
Yeah.
Right.
I don't want to
But we
devote
can
an
talk
anime
about
club for it.
I don't mind hating on it.
Yeah, I like being an educated hater.
It's fine. Like I didn't dislike the show,
Right.
But I just hated the ending.
Yeah,
Taiga
So-
is just annoying.
Yes.
Like she brings that show
think
down.
it goes like I think tsunderes are fine because they usually hit a point that they're not tsundere anymore.
Depends on the show you're watching. but
Okay,
yeah.
well the ones that I like,
Right.
like Stella, Nino, like any ones that I've liked, they flip. I like it when they flip,
and,
like they're
and
like
your
that
reason
at first.
for the yandere that you like, whose name I'm fucking forgetting.
Yandere is not a tsundere.
Yeah, right. But so you just like yanderes.
No, isn't there only one? No, I like Esdeath too. There's 2 of them. Anyways, we're not talking about yanderes.
This
We're
bitch.
talking about
I'm
tsunderes.
out here just liking the good wholesome girls like
I like
Hinata
some
who's
of those
trying her
too.
absolute best.
But your point with tsundere, the reason why I
Yeah.
don't think that I fucking don't like Taiga is because she's just a fucking abusive bitch the entire time. The entire fucking time, and she doesn't get better. Besides mentally in her head, she'll say nice things about him, but then she'll go back to abusing him. Like
Right.
I think that's why that there was nothing that made me. There was nothing there. Are you looking at my list?
I am. You also like what the hell's the main girl, the like love interest in Death Note?
Misa?
Yeah, she's absolutely also like a yandere. I feel like
No, she's
Misa's
not
not a
at all.
yandere.
she sure is.
No,
she
she
kills
isn't.
many people for him.
For his love and attention, but she doesn't.
That's still.
No, because she's doing it because she believes in like the cause of Kira, and she knows he's Kira and he's killing
Yeah.
criminals. So she's
I mean, it's
doing that
definitely
on
for-
his behalf.
It's definitely
It's not
for
because
his
she wants to
attention
kill
and
people.
love. Yeah, it's not because she's like nobody better get in my way. It's the fact of if I do this, like we'll be
To
happy
service
together
him.
forever. Yeah,
All right, fine.
Because she
he
want-
killed the criminal that killed her parents.
I also
Yeah,
forgot
and
that you
the
had
whole
the
thing
3
is like
girls from
Light is
Re:Zero.
also just
I didn't want to leave one out. Like, I just-
Light is just using her because he's like, oh, she has the Shimigami eyes. This is awesome. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I don't need to do as much research now. But also, like, and he already knows that she's in love with him. Like, that's how she introduces herself, essentially.
Yeah.
And he's like, great, this is an awesome asset to my team. And all I have to do is, like, be physically present in a room with her
Yeah,
also
she
in it to
was-
satisfy her.
She was also in love with Kira before she even knew that it was
Light, yeah.
Like before even seeing him.
The idea
yeah,
of
exactly.
Kira.
Like she just like I don't think
And
that
it's
she's
the, like,
I don't even think she's Yandere Light. Like I don't.
no,
think
yeah,
that
I don't think she's a yandere either. I feel like that's the wrong. That's
Nothing.
not a good label for her.
No.
I would say she's because if you think about it, like at the
She's
point,
desperate.
She's
I feel bad for her.
Yeah, like
she
she's-
deserves better.
she's obviously like desperate for love, but
Yeah.
like the whole killing people thing is just to service her like
yeah.
ideology in.
If anything, you
Kira.
could just call her a serial killer, but not a Yandere.
yeah.
Sure. Anyway.
I feel like that's accurate. What Kat said.
Yeah.
Do we want to wrap up with our fucking?
Yeah, we'll wrap up with our final thoughts on not Death Note, but I would love to have a discussion about Death Note. I
We can talk
fucking
about
love
Death
Death Note.
Death Note's
Halfway.
outstandingly okay because
Note-
the second half brings down that
Yeah,
show
It
really
does.
hard.
It really does. I will say it's a little less painful in the manga, but yeah, it's still not as good. If they had just ended it right at L's death,
Yep,
that
that's it.
would have been
Yeah.
so perfect.
But that's why I'm also like, is an episode on Death Note worth it? Because we're gonna say the same shit everybody says.
I guess that's
I guess
true.
no. We could have a segment.
Yeah, we could do like a segment on
Yeah.
it.
Half
but-
Toradora, half Death Note.
Well, yeah. If we've all like watched some shows, we could probably just have an episode that we talk about some shows that we might not have very different opinions than public with.
Yeah, that's fair.
Future Diary. We haven't had that discussion.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's true. Anyway,
I don't want to watch that again, but I have literally
that's
no
not
memory
Anime
of
Club.
it.
it's yeah. We don't
Oh,
have
you
to
don't
watch it
remember
again.
but
But
then I guess you
yeah.
can't.
All right. Well, you can always watch a recap.
That's true.
You don't need to
Just to
watch
like
the show
refresh
for it.
my
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so final thoughts means we start with me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I did watch this in 2 days, but that's mostly just because I didn't want to extend
Drag
my
it out.
Yeah, I didn't want to extend my time.
You're like, I don't want to look at this any longer than I need to.
I would say it's pretty bingeable. Doesn't mean it's good, but it is pretty bingeable just to get through. Personally, for me, I think that basically none of the fights are all that interesting. I think the story weirdly jumps around sometimes for no real reason, and it's just odd. And like, it's paced very weirdly.
Yeah.
There's not a lot that is all that great about this show at all. I
Out of 10?
I give it a 5.
Okay.
Oh my god.
It's considered average.
Wow.
It is a extremely generic show, so I feel like middle of the bar is fine. It's just generic. It's average. I would not recommend watching this. I think this is only the second show I've ever said I would not recommend.
What
Yeah,
was the
that's
other?
fair.
Handshakers.
Handshakers.
Wow. Gosh.
I don't think I've said no for any other show. I might be wrong, but I don't think I have.
Did you say you would recommend NHK?
Oh, okay. So 3.
I'm like I'm an NHK defender.
You sure are.
I
for
will
some
die
reason.
on this deathbed.
No.
So yeah,
I still think
I
it's a
give it a
No.
5. I give it a 5 out of 10. Masterpiece.
I loved it.
It was
Start
boring
to
as
finish.
hell. Boring as hell.
It sure
It
was.
wasn't even mid. Boring.
Yeah.
I loved it so much. I'm gonna watch it again.
Do it.
Ugh,
Torture yourself.
gross.
Go ahead.
So yeah, I'd give it a 5 out of 10. I would not recommend watching it. Look, if you're looking for anything, even like if you're looking for a reason to watch the show, like you're looking at it and you're like, hey, at least it's ecchi. There are better ecchi out there.
Yeah.
You can find better ecchi. It's not even like it's not ecchi light, but it's not interesting ecchi. It's just like you don't get a whole titty. You just get like the nude characters and stuff, but like you're not getting much out of it. Like there are just better
But
places
you know what
to
it is?
go.
A lot of it isn't even like tantalizing.
No, it's not.
It's just kind of
It's just kind of there.
It's weird because even what's supposed to be like racy or whatever just falls so flat.
Like the raciest I think it got
Was when he was a hair's breadth from finger banging.
actually, yeah, that is
Like,
kinda
that
true.
was the raciest part.
I was gonna say the bath scene, but actually no, you're right. That was definitely way more tantalizing than the fucking bathroom scene, which is weird when both of them are actively naked and she actively puts her fucking tits on his
Yeah.
Oh, I
back.
forgot about that.
Yeah.
And
She was a good servant. She bathed him.
yet somehow the thigh scene is more tantalizing than
Yeah.
that. Like you could find better ecchi. Be smarter with your ecchi. Go watch like To Love Ru instead. Go watch better ecchi.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my thoughts. I don't think it's very much worth watching. It's just generic. You can find better things than generic. Sage.
My overall thoughts is it's pretty bad. Yeah, I'll be honest, this was pretty torturous for me. It felt like the episodes were an hour long a piece, but also no one single tangible thing happened within the hour. And then when the next episode would start, I'd be like, wait, when the fuck did we get to this? I'm literally so lost. I'll give it a 4 out of 10. Absolutely do not recommend. Unless you want, like, if you want to be an educated hater, go for it. But if you want to, like, enjoy your life and, like, be happy, don't. Like, you'll just ruin your day for no reason. I mean, it's only 12 episodes, so you'll only ruin, like, a very small portion of your day.
It's
but
like 4 hours.
Yeah, like, it's pretty.
I did that with Beastars. Hated my life, but it was only.
Beastars is literally.
We've had
We're not
this
doing this
conversation
again.
every
We've done
time.
this
God.
so
Why
many
do you
times.
forget? Yeah, why every single time we have the same conversation?
Yeah,
But it
because
was-
you're objectively wrong about Beastars.
No!
This is so excellent.
No, literally.
Every
But yeah, it was 4 hours
single
of my life. I wish I
time.
could have it back, but like I can't. But it's 4 hours, so I was like, whatever.
But yeah, those are my general thoughts. Oh, also the animation looked garbage most of the time. There was like maybe 3 clever scenes, and that was literally it.
So you're not recommending it?
No, not even a little bit.
I know. I just need to actively make sure. Sometimes you guys half say it, and I have to like really fucking pay attention when I'm editing
You
it.
could just message us.
Yeah,
That's true. But no,
but
don't-
sometimes it's like 5 weeks apart, and I'm like, do you guys remember
I
what you
would-
thought?
I
about
would
it?
absolutely.
still
If
remember
you
if I
messaged me
recommend or
6 months
not.
from now, Michael, and you were like, "Did you recommend Chivalry of a Failed Knight?" I'd be like, "Absolutely the fuck not."
Anyway,
Okay, so I liked it. I looked and I saw I gave it an 8 when I first watched it. I think from the rewatch it's more a 7, but I still like
That's
it.
still too generous.
I would like to say at least for once, Kat made us hate something,
Whoa,
and she liked
Kat,
it.
yeah, what the fuck?
At least she's
I feel
somewhat
like
balanced the bar.
We had
Yeah.
stronger feelings about this than Future Diaries in dislike.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you guys said that Future
Yeah.
Diary is better, so I
That's
should have just
crazy.
made you guys talk about Future Diary, be educated haters, and talk about it. But
We were educated haters, but it was off air.
Yeah.
I guess
It's true.
But I would say it's more like a 7 from the rewatch, just because I have seen so many shows now that obviously I can see that it is pretty generic. But I still liked it. I think that if I recommend it, but not because like obviously yeah there's better shows to watch. I didn't even count it as an ecchi, so yeah there's better ecchis to watch clearly. But I think I don't know. I didn't think it looked like garbage. But also, I wasn't watching it critically, so if you're gonna watch critically, you could probably just skip it. But if you just need something to watch, you need something in the background, whatever it may be. It's only 12 episodes. I thought that it was good. I like it.
Yeah, I mean 12 episodes usually is pretty easy, except for Sage.
It's
but-
literally like 4
Like
4 hours.
I was just telling Sage before we started recording. I have finished like 3 shows in the last 2 days that were
Because
just
they're
12
12,
episodes.
yeah.
I just fucking ran through them. But all right, well, hey, that's our time. Oh, hey, by the way, Sage, Anthony said he'd come back if we both watch, not come back, but like come back for an episode to watch if we both watch Genocyber, so we can just dunk on it.
yeah!
Okay. So, hey, you can look forward to that. We're gonna go dunk on Genocyber at some point if you want to also watch
Throwback
it.
Thursday to Genocyber.
Well, I told him that we were watching
Was
the
that
show.
the episode when I was asking about the robot, how
I
it
think
would
so,
be able
yeah.
to like live in space if it was in the center of the earth?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Ah, what a good time.
Yeah, you're an idiot. But yeah, because Anthony was like, all right, so Sage recommended Handshakers. Kat's got Chivalry of a Failed Knight. I should do Genocyber. I was like, you're not on the show anymore, though. He was like, yeah, but you guys could still watch it. We could talk about it. And I was
Hell
like, all
yeah,
right,
I
fine.
will absolutely do that.
And he was like, so what's your trash show going to be? I was like, I can't pick mine. Kat would leave.
What's your trash show?
It would
He's gonna
probably-
pick DxD.
Yeah, it would be High School DxD.
Oh, come
The
on,
second
Kat.
he says DxD, I will actually leave.
Why?
So
no.
I can't recommend
be
my
an
trash
educated
shows.
hater.
I tried. Ryan fucking loves DxD, and I tried.
What about High
watching
School
it
of the
with him.
Dead?
I'd watch that.
Okay.
I tried.
All right, fine. We could do that.
I
one day.
tried watching DxD. It was so unbearable. Like, it was so fucking horrible that I was like, Ryan, there is nothing you can offer me on this earth for me to watch this show. It was fucking terrible. He likes to claim that he showed me it too early. He should have waited. Like, it was way too jarring.
Wait,
and
when
then-
did you first watch
It was like
it?
one of our first shows.
No,
Oh.
Wasn't
it was a little bit further in.
Okay.
Like, it was
I
probably
will
like
say-
a year into
Oh, okay,
watching.
All right, I thought it was sooner than that.
No.
Because I was gonna say, if that's like your introduction to anime, I could understand.
no.
Because you know how like a lot of people are swayed off of anime.
Did she
because-
watch this as one of her first shows, and that just has open
Well,
incest
that's
to
what
start?
I'm saying. Like, I don't know why I stuck with it. I think I just couldn't
Did
sleep.
you-
This is another show I watched in the middle of the night. Like, I didn't have anything to do that I was like, it's on already. Like, I'm gonna watch
All right,
it.
at
I'm
least
glad
she'd
that
watch
I
High School of
did.
the Dead. We can talk about the titty dodge.
Yeah, you gotta.
So we can at least do that one day.
Okay, one day we'll do High School of the Dead.
Anyway, hey, thanks for watching. It's my pick now.
Yeah.
So we're going to watch a certain scientific railgun. And yes, I know technically a certain magical index is the first beginning of the story. I don't care. Fuck you.
It's like a 3-part series.
No. So there are 3 tangential shows.
Oh, okay,
There's
that's what
a
you were
magical
saying.
index, a scientific railgun, and a scientific accelerator.
I've never even heard the other.
Yeah,
one.
Accelerator
never-
came out more
I've
recently.
I've never even heard of these.
Accelerator came out like more recently.
Well, he'd been telling me to watch this.
This is an older
since
show?
forever.
I can look it up.
Because
real
I've
quick.
never heard of this. Like any
Like
one
the
of the
ones
3.
that he was recommending was like Carol and Tuesday, this show.
I still
fucking
need to
love
watch
Carol
Carol
and
and
Tuesday.
Flappers, and I feel like something else.
Carol and Tuesday is absolutely incredible, and everybody should watch
So
Carol
why
and Tuesday.
didn't you recommend that?
Because I wanted you guys to watch this.
Yeah, but I'm talking about in the past.
Oh.
You have recommended
Because
lots of worse shows. If you're saying that, actually, I guess it's based on opinion because
Oh, wait,
you have
can-
said shows that
Can
you
I ask
really
a
like
question?
in
Have
the-
you, so minus Michael, have
I'm
both
the only
you-
one left.
No, you and I have both recommended one, I think, objectively bad show. Me, Handshakers, you, Chivalry of Failed Night.
Yeah.
And Mike, you haven't really recommended any objectively bad shows, I
just
think.
things you guys didn't like.
Yeah, didn't like, but I wouldn't say objectively bad. Does that make sense? That
I don't think that
differentiation?
Chivalry of a Failed Night is objectively
Well, I know
bad.
what I said, all right?
So if we're counting that, then he does it. He has said shows.
What was objectively bad that he recommended?
Didn't you guys fucking hate Flip Flappers?
I
feel
didn't
like the
hate it.
entire
I just
time
thought
I
it
would not
wasn't
say that is
listed.
objectively bad.
I did
though.
not.
I wouldn't say
I
Chivalry
never
of a
said
Failed
I
Night.
hated
Ryan
it.
likes
I just
Chivalry of a Failed Night too.
well, Ryan has shit taste. What do you want me to say?
All right. So anyway, Accelerator came out in 2019. Railgun, the first season, came out in 2009 to 2010.
Oh, okay.
Magical Index, the first season for that, came out obviously before that.
So it's a little bit older, but
but
not
like,
like
it's still
ancient.
going.
Right.
Like the third season for Railgun came out in 2020.
Gotcha.
So Magical Index is technically the start of the story because it's just where it started. Like the light novel started with Magical Index, and then he was like, "Hey, there's these kind of characters," and people were like, "Hey, we kind of want more of this character," and he was like, "All right, fuck
Oh,
it."
so he just
Scientific
kinda
Railgun,
like- yeah.
and then Scientific Railgun and
It's like a
Magical
spin-off.
Index, yeah, they kind of intertwine a bit, and then this.
Did they explain enough for you to not? need
Literally,
the
I
other
started
one?
with Scientific Railgun.
Okay.
Like, I didn't know that Magical Index even existed until I think I watched the third season of Railgun. So, like, it explains enough for you to understand, but also, like,
So technically, this would count as a show you also watched incorrectly.
yes, it does. I will say I do think that the second season is stronger than the first, but I can't just say watch the second season. I think the first season is still very good. I very much enjoyed it. I just think that the second season's story is a bit more engaging, where there's like a lot more like really interesting stuff going on.
Well, there's only 3 of us left, so you could recommend the
Yeah,
next.
I might. I was thinking about it. But the only I thought it was 12 episodes, so I was like, oh, I could do both seasons, but they're both 20. They're 24, by the way. So anyway, they're on Crunchyroll or Funimation. You really don't need to watch Magical Index to start here, but if you are so inclined, feel free. But yeah, so
we
it
won't
is.
be talking about it.
Yeah, we're not. So it is about a. Basically, there is a city in Japan with people that all have like psychic abilities. For the most part, they're all called espers, generic psychic term. And they go to. It is about students that go to school to like help them learn and use their powers. And there are different schools based on how fucking like good you are.
Mm-hmm.
And Misaka is the like main character. She is a top rank Esper. She is I forget the class system. I think it's 5 or rank 1 or something like that. She is like the 5th ranked out of all Espers in the entire city.
Okay.
And her power is basically like lightning in a way, and she uses it to like conduct her power to like basically use a railgun where she can shoot shit out like extremely fast and powerfully. And it's just following her going through like life, and then people. There's like some shady organizations that are like trying to fuck with the city and the school and everything, and she kind of is like trying to stop it because they fuck with her at one point. She's like, all right, well, you know what? Fuck you people. And that's basically it. I don't know. I think it's fun. It's not all about action. It's mostly just character driven. The characters dealing with what the fuck's going on. And for the most part, it's pretty. And it's by JC Staff. So they're like, every time we've talked about One Punch Man season 2, where I'm like, JC Staff has done good things. This is one of those shows. They've done every season and for all of 3 of them. So
Gotcha.
Anyway, yeah. So that's my pitch on a certain scientific railgun. Hopefully Kat will like it. This could be one show that she might like.
We'll see.
So yeah, hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, leave a review, like, follow. Don't forget to check out Kat at Kat the Moonstar on Twitch. And we will see you guys next week for whatever the fuck we talk about.
Yeah.
Me and Sage will probably just rail on the show more.
Yeah, probably.
All right. See you guys next time.
Okay, bye.
Bye.